And everyone knows this, I think, you know, maybe not, but everyone has a sense of if they were going to degenerate, how they would do it. You know, some people would be an alcoholic, some people would be a street person. It's like there's some doom thing out there that's got your name on it if you're particularly incautious and, you know, don't and let things fall apart. So I want you to write about that. What do you not want to have happen in 3 to 5 years? And there's psychological reasons for this, eh? One is, if you have something to aim for, that's a source of positive emotion, because your positive emotion is mostly generated by evidence that you're moving towards something that you value. It's not generated so much by accomplishing something, because when you accomplish something you're just left with the problem of whatever you're going to do next. So you graduate from university, it's like, you know, hooray, one day you're at the peak of your undergraduate university career, the next day you're unemployed and looking for a bad job at Starbucks. So, you know, well, you see what I mean, is, you know, it's that, you know, one problem that you solve is replaced by another problem, and so the idea that you're going to be happy when you solve all your problems is like, haha, good luck with that theory. But, you know, if you're aiming at something worthwhile, and you really believe it's worthwhile, and you've thought it through, you know, so that you're not weak, you've got your damn arguments mustered, then when you make progress, even a little bit, you think, hey, that's alright, and you get a little kick, you get a little dopamine kick, and that's what you want, because that's where your positive emotion comes from. You can use cocaine if you want, but but you know, that tends to have relatively detrimental medium to long-term consequences, but it activates the same system. So you have to be aiming at something, and you should be aiming at something that's realistic, that you want, that you could get, you know, like not easily, because if it's easy, in some sense you've already got it. It's got to push you, that's part of the pleasure actually, because there's two things that you want to do when you're pursuing something that's important, and one of them is to get the thing that's important, but the other is to make yourself better at pursuing things, right? So you can get both of those at the same time. You're aiming at something and you're increasing your competence. It's like, that's a good deal, and there's a lot of intrinsic meaning to be felt in that. And then the second half of the program, you write out a plan for how you're going to do it, and how you're going to keep yourself on track, and you're going to write about why it would be good for you if you did this, and why it would be good for your family, and what possible benefits it would have to the community, you know, because you want to nail this thing down, and then you want to figure out what kind of obstacles are going to come up, and how you might overcome them, and how you might keep yourself on track, and all of that. And we know, because we've actually done a lot of research on this particular program, that if university students do this, and this is more true if they're not too well oriented to begin with, if university students do this, they're about 25% less likely to drop out, which is a lot, and about their grade point average increases about 20%. So hooray for that, you know, because you never know when you develop an intervention if it's going to work. There's also evidence, but not from my lab, that doing such things improves your physical health, and I think the reason for that is that, you know, when you go over your autobiography and you scour out those negative places that you're sort of dragging along with you, it lowers your overall stress load, because your brain is kind of, I think it's calculating how dangerous the world is by attending to the ratio of successes to failures that you've had in your life, something like that. And so, you know, if there are holes in your map that you could still fall through, then your brain regards the territory still as a bit on the dangerous side, and then you're more prepared for emergency action, and that's hard on you. So you want to go back there and fix up those experiences to the degree that you can. Now, those are going to be peer graded. Now that's complicated, but here's how you do it. Write the thing so that you have written it for you, and then take everything out that you're not comfortable sharing with other people. And so there's a couple of reasons I do it that way. One is just that there's just no other way to do it, because if I want to do this with you, the grading load is too high to do it. So I thought, well, it's still worth doing, and because this is a class about narrative and about self-narrative, it's the right thing to do. And most of you are graduating soon, and it's like, it's helpful. I think you'll find it very helpful. That's what students report. And so you'll each read 3 people will read each of your offerings and give you a grade, and then you get the average of the best 2 grades, and they're supposed to provide you with constructive feedback. And constructive feedback is sort of mostly what did you do right, you know, and maybe some hints about where you could flesh it out and all that. But so that's that, and you need to write an essay. This is all detailed on the website, and that's the website. If you go to jordanbpeterson.com, on the left there's classes. If you click classes, you get a bunch of tabs, and one of the tabs is Psych 434, and that's obviously this class. And so there's some extra readings on there, and a list of how we're going to go through the course. The dates aren't right, I got to update it, and I haven't finished that yet, but the rest of it's pretty much the way it is. This writing program is an online program, and it guides you through the process of doing it. But really, I would really recommend that you start like this week, because it also works better if you do it over time, and it seems like in bursts of writing, you know, and to sleep in between episodes, because that's when your brain consolidates its new information. And I would say do it meditatively, you know, ask yourself, it's a different way of, it's really funny what happens when you ask yourself questions, because part of you will answer, and you don't know what the answer will be, but an answer comes almost always. And you know, like you think, well, what happened to me when I was 6, around 6, that was important, and through some mysterious process perhaps a memory will come to mind. And so there's a test, so there's these 2 assignments plus the essay. The essay can be in anything you want that's related to the class. You have to make the case that it's related to the class, so it's an opportunity to, you know, to write about something you want to write about. And there's a final exam, and the final exam, if you read the book and you come to the classes, you won't have any problem with the final exam, because it's not tricky, it's just a survey of what we've gone through. And so I did that. I didn't have that to begin with, but you know, you need a carrot and a stick, because you guys are busy, and you know, you're going to triage and do the things that are crucial and perhaps not the things that aren't, and no wonder. So I had to make this crucial, because otherwise you won't read it, and that's partly because it's hard. And so, but hopefully the course lectures will help guide you through it. And that's about that. So I'm going to tell you a bunch of stories, and I'm going to try to explain what they mean. And what I hope will happen is that the world of narrative will open up for you, and like I found that incredibly useful. It's incredibly useful to understand these things. It situates you better, and it also helps you. See, what people tell me about this course frequently is that it's something like that they already knew what I'm telling them, but they didn't know that they knew it. So it makes sense, it clicks. And you know, to me what that means is that you have the information represented in you in action, like in your procedures, in your habits, and in your perceptual structures. It's implicit, it's the implicit you. And then I can articulate in part what that implicit you is, and it fits, click, oh yeah, that's what I'm like, that's what people are like, that's what people are like. And so, well, if any of that happened today during this lecture to you, well then that's a good sign that you might, you know, benefit from the course. And if it didn't, well, you could try one more lecture and see what happens. But you know, this is sort of what the course is like, and if that's what you want, then this is where you get it. Good to see all of you, and I guess we're done, right?